I'm Jeff Myers, and welcome to Elgin Today. On this edition, Janice here will tell us about the virtual Martin Luther King prayer breakfast slated for January 15th. We hear from a recent inductee into the Elgin Sports Hall of Fame, Scott Johnson, a 1974 grad of Elgin High School. We'll have these stories and more on this edition of Elgin Today. We're delighted to be here at Elgin Community College, and right now, classes are not in session, but you, Janice, here, we had so much success last year with the virtual of the Martin Luther King prayer breakfast. You've made plans for January 15th of 2022. We're going to do it again that way.
Absolutely, Jeff. Due to the impact of COVID-19, we are concerned about our community and our citizens in the surrounding communities. We want to keep everyone safe. Also, we want to continue with the annual Dr. Martin Luther King prayer breakfast. So we were very successful last year to have it virtual.
I enjoyed it.
It was just awesome, the support, and people are asking for it again. So due to the circumstances we're in now, we're thinking of you, and we will have a virtual 2022 Dr. Martin Luther King prayer breakfast again.
Wonderful. Well, you're so kind. Everybody loves to help the community out with that. Now, the program will still be the same. You'll start, at 9 o'clock, is it?
Yes, we will start at 9 o'clock, and you will identify the link on the bottom of the screen. Please, that's the way you can contact and get involved. Have your coffee, because we will not be serving breakfast, and join us at that time. Yes, it's from 9 o'clock a.m. on that Saturday, January the 15th, till 10:45.
Wonderful. On January 15th, 1929 was when Martin Luther King was born, so you're on that perfect January date. You'll have great speakers.
Absolutely. Our program will go on as planned. We will have our guest speaker, Dr. Toya Webb. She's an employee here at Elgin Community College as the communication and marketing specialist. I believe so. That's her title. But somewhere around there. But a speaker, a leader in the community, an awesome young lady. And then we will have performances. We will have prayers. We have the opportunity to introduce you to new pastors that have come in our community at St. James, A&M, and at Second Baptist as well.
Wonderful. So it's a great program. Again, it was so successful last year. We can be warm and toasty at home and still get all the information, see those great speakers, and learn a lot about Martin Luther King.
Absolutely. And we are excited, and we welcome you all to tune in 9 o'clock, January the 15th, at the link below this photo and video.
Everybody's been looking forward to this gathering, whether it was live or virtual. We enjoyed it.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And this time we don't have the opportunity to sell tickets. But if you have already given and bought a ticket, if you want to use it as a donation for next year, or we can refund it back to you. Again, we want to thank everyone for their outpouring of support for the annual Martin Luther King program each year. It's been really wonderful to be part of this event.
It's always one of our favorites, and our backdrop right here, even with no students here at ECC, this is a beautiful campus, isn't it?
Yes, I enjoy working here. My working environment is very beautiful. I love to see the students come, and on that weekend of the 15th, school will start on the 18th if nothing changes, and students will be in to go to the bookstore, to go to financial aid, and to do things like that. So students will be on campus starting the 15th, starting January the 3rd when we come back to work.
Wonderful. Well, we like that very much. Again, January 15th is a virtual thing that you have going with Martin Luther King and the prayer breakfast. We look forward to that, as you said, and you do so much good work on this. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. And I couldn't do it without my awesome team. I have a great team, and I look forward to working with them each year.
All right. Well, we're here right now live at ECC, live on tape anyway, virtually on January 15th. We'll see you.
Yes, we will, and I'll see you too.
All right. That sounds great. We appreciate that. Janice here, congratulations. It was so successful last year. We'll enjoy it again.
Absolutely.
That's our update for the Martin Luther King prayer breakfast. Virtually, it is in 2022. We thank Janice, and we'll see you later, my dear.
Absolutely. You have a great day, and Happy New Year's.
Going to talk over with legendary figure Scott Johnson. Scott, it's so nice to meet you, young man. Class of 74, Elgin High you are.
I am. We were the last class to ever be in the old building, and then we were in the new building as well. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because in 72-3 you moved over, so you had one season there and then a couple more over there. Yeah, that makes sense. You, young man, are such a great writer. In your days, you put out a great record book about Elgin High basketball, did you not? That came out in, what, 82 or so?
I did, yeah. I worked on that when I was in college and then kept updating it through my period at the Illinois High School Association. I think I finally faded out about 2005, but...
darn it. We can re-up that again, can't you?
Well, we can give it a
lot
try.
of work with that.
If we've got the data, I'd be glad to try to...
What college did you go to?
I went to the University of Illinois.
Wonderful. Well, Scott, then, of course, one of your great books, and we're so delighted with all your work at Elgin, but your position at IHSA is what?
Well, I am retired now for the last 2 years.
Wow, you're so young.
Yeah. But I was an assistant executive director and in charge of all of the data processing and that type of thing.
Oh, you're a tech man. We loved our staff loves that. So
yeah.
Congratulations. You learned that at Elgin High, didn't you?
No, actually, I didn't. It was in college when I took my first computer science class.
One of the greatest books you put out for the IHSA is 100 Years of Basketball Madness, is it not? That came out in 2007. Right. That must have been a work that you worked a long time on.
That was something that was really one of my goals after I got to the IHSA, because I had seen a book called March Madness, which was a history of all the tournaments, came out in 1977, and I thought I'd like to do a little bit better than that, and a lot more, actually, so I was able to do that finally. Yeah.
It's a wonderful book. Congratulations. Also, the great Hebron story of 1952, you do a book on that, do you not?
Yes, it was Once There Were Giants, and
That's
that
great.
came out in 2002. We're coming up now on the 70th anniversary of that, but this was for the 50th anniversary, and we had a great time with the players.
Great publications that talk about high school sports you've done, so and representing Elgin so well, we're proud of that.
Well, thank you very much.
Do you still live in town? Where do you live?
I live in Bloomington with my wife, but it's been 40 years, actually, since I lived in Elgin.
Wow. Do you stay in touch with anybody here in Elgin?
I have one friend left in Elgin that I hear from now
right?
and again, yeah.
That's more than we have, so congratulations. No, Scott, it's an honor to meet you. We look at that book and the publication and all that and all that you did for Elgin. Did you play any sports at Elgin High?
I played on the golf team in sophomore year.
Were you pretty good?
No. No.
That's cute.
No.
Sophomore year would be the last year at the old school, wouldn't it?
Right, exactly.
Wow, so your history,
yeah.
We can spin a history that way.
Yeah, okay.
All right, well, Scott Johnson of the IHSA, now retired. Congratulations, sir, and you are inducted in the Elgin Sports Hall of Fame. When you got that call, how did you feel?
It was kind of overwhelming, actually. Jim Harrington told me, you better sit down. So I sat down, and it's just a great feeling.
Wonderful. You're in both that and also the IBCA, so you've covered it all, young man.
That's about it. I don't think there's going to be any more.
We'll come up. So you'll be Lifetime Achievement Awards waiting for you.
Okay.
Scott Johnson, thanks for coming back for this.
All right. Thank you very much, Jeff.
We're delighted to talk with you here as we get a special session with Mayor David Captain from your office, sir. We're delighted to be here.
We are. We're on my home turf, and again, it's Happy New Year to everybody. And this is kind of a special, I don't know if we call it a year-end wrap-up or holiday program, but we're going to have a little different format today. We're going to talk about 2 or 3 different things that Jeff's brought up, the topics he brought up. So, Jeff, I'll turn it over to you.
All
what do you
right.
want to start with?
You talked in, I think on December 10th, you delivered your State of the City address, and you were really concentrating on census and what that meant to the city. Explain that to us.
Yeah, and I did. I was I kind of looked back, and I usually do a 1 year thing, but it was it was a census year, and I wanted to look back over 10 years and the growth. And I thought the census was a critical part for the city of Elgin, and we had some hardworking people, and I want to give credit to a lot of them. There was Karina Nava, Denise Raleigh, Jaime Garcia, Karen Fox, Sheree Murphy, Martha Martinez, and a whole host of other volunteers that went out and put together a really good plan to count the people in the city of Elgin. And that's important for us. And as it turns out, the city of Elgin was one of the few cities that actually grew. And there's a big conversation now as to whether this is artificially depressed or what, but Elgin gained about 5,000 people. We're about 115,000 people now.
And we're 6th in the state now, number 6.
And we're the 6th, and we moved up to the 6th in the state. And a couple of the reasons were, I believe, that people were scared because of COVID, and they just didn't get out and just didn't get the paperwork done that they needed to do. And at that time, there was some saber rattling in Washington about deporting people and immigration, and I think that scared some people as well. But they did a great job of bringing the people out, and that means a lot to us as a city. It's about $1,500 per person per year that comes back, man, woman, or child. So that's can be a considerable amount of money. And there are cities already and communities already talking about going back and doing a special census because they didn't feel that it was, it didn't reflect their community. So they'll have to work their way through it. And I guess I look at it from a positive side, glass half full, glass half empty, that we might have gained more if that was the case.
Sure.
So I think that's positive, and there's a demographic change in the city that we have to be aware of. Obviously we're a majority city now, but the Hispanic population is growing, and the population from continental Asia, that means people from India, Pakistan, Vietnam, Laos, are becoming a bigger part of our community, and we need to find places for them.
That's wonderful. And for the state of Illinois, much of it Chicago, where they're losing people. So it's great that as a city we can stand proud and say we are not.
Yeah, and you know, when you ask, well, what does it mean? How good is it? A good thing that Elgin grows, and it does, because one of the other things I did talk about was we look at occupancy, retail occupancy, and things like that. And Elgin, we're 96, our retail spaces are 96% occupied, and that's an all-time record for us. So people are coming here, they're spending money, they're creating new businesses. Industries are looking at Elgin, and they see it as a growing community. And so when people come here, they will follow, businesses will follow.
It's wonderful news. We were with you on Friday, December 3rd, Jeremy Hayes and our crew, at the PNC building. Now, that was work with Judson University, a local businessman, and the city. Explain what's going to happen there.
Yeah, the PNC building is used to be PNC Bank. Centro de Información for years was on the second floor, across the street from the post office. And that building's been sitting vacant for a number of years. And Judson University came up with a concept plan to develop that building, redevelop that building into workspace apartments, live-work apartments, for students that are in the School of Architecture at Judson University. So they're going to put millions of dollars into the building to convert it into apartments of different size. There could be some that might be two-bedroom enough for a small, maybe a husband, wife, and a child. That type of thing. And downstairs there will be a workspace, so they can do their architectural work. It'll open up out on the street, is my understanding. Wow. So there'll be windows there so people can see them actually work. And I think it's going to be a great thing. I think there's room for 13 apartments in there. Some will be efficiency style, some will be a little bit bigger. And going to rehab the entire building. But I look at it the same as we did the program a couple months ago with James Harvey on Art Space. And it's very similar to that. And people will live where they work, they can create. And Ben Gluntz was a big part of making this part of the downtown. He's an architecture student, and he talked about his time where they had to spend hours and hours and hours working on a project. And they'd be away from the family, and he said this would be great. He said if they were, when he was in school, he said if they could work downstairs, and he said when it got to be dinner time or time to quit, all they had to do was go upstairs and go home. He said it would have been very, very efficient for them, and he said much easier for them to get their work done.
And Ben's got his architectural company here in town.
Right, and I think he sets a great example. And that would be our hope here, that people, the young people that are architecture students may look at Elgin as a place they want to live, as Ben did. And he moved here, bought a home here, he's raising his family here and started his business here.
That's great.
And graduated from Judson and never left town, as Councilman Toby Shaw did as well.
That's wonderful, and that was fun to see that. We saw you looking very good. A sledgehammer. You were allowed to attack a wall.
I'm much better at knocking things down than building things up, and that's what I tell people. You know, when the city buys something, we usually knock it down. So.
Yeah. But the first floor will be the architectural school, and it'll be named in honor of Ben's name will be on that. So
Yeah.
just a wonderful combination between him, Judson, and the city.
Right, and people can drive by when they go down Highland Avenue and see the progress on that. They expect it to be open and occupied by the end of this year.
That's a good-looking
September.
building.
Their plan is to get ready for the school year.
Wonderful. Now, unfortunately, back on November 22nd, we lost Mike Alf. 96-year-old Mike Alf passed away, of course. He was in our city from 1950 until he moved away in late April of 2016. You must have lots of Mike Alf stories. He was mayor from 67 to 71. Folks might forget that. Yep. So you went to him often and got stories, didn't you?
Yes, and I was in Elgin High School when I graduated in 65, and Mr. Elft was a history and economics teacher, economic social problems, those types of things. And I never had him as a teacher, but students tried to get into his classes. They loved to hear him talk and loved to hear him talk about Abraham Lincoln and relate stories like that. A little bit like I am, that he's a storyteller.
Wonderful.
And was able to tell stories to people and relate some of the things back to, especially to the young people, and make it bring it to life for them.
He would put a penny up right here in his forehead, wouldn't he? Don't cheat, don't be cheap, or whatever it was. he was a great money man.
Oh yeah, exactly. And he was he had the reputation of being a little tight, and so do I guess. So I said that my arms kind of go away from my wallet.
We learned from the library sources, though, he actually, even after he left, he was still contributing.
Yes.
To get various things.
And he was at that time, Vietnam War was starting to wind down, and Mike Elft was instrumental in bringing people from Southeast Asia here through the Church of the Brethren. We created a sister city with Vientiane, Laos, and Mike Elfton worked to help make that change in the city. So it changes the helped to change the demographic of the city here half a century later. And so his impact is still being felt here. He went on and he stayed active. He was on the library board for a long time. Yeah. And I believe he was part of the library board when the construction of the new library went in place as well.
He's still in place for that, because that opened in 2003. He's still involved, like in 2010.
And still worked to do that and bring change. He was a perfect fit for Mike, being at the library, because he loved to read.
Yeah.
And I believe he he documented anyway, over 2,500 books.
It might even be 3,500 he read. He would read 40 a year, he would tell us, and he did keep that book.
Yeah.
And even we found out, not knowing, in 2019, he published his own, kind of his memoir book. Yeah. And that exists in the library. So he was still writing after he left the city.
And I have a part of my books in my home are a collection of Mike Elft's books, and his relating of the history of the city of Elgin, and brought that to a personal level in many places, stories that had gone on that he picked up in conversations with people that had lived through the tornado of 1921, and stories like that, and he brought that to life in his own books. And I love reading them. He highlighted it with pictures of buildings, and so he was our historian, and now it was lost to the city, and a good friend, and a great gentleman.
In a city that loves their bicycles, we have bike shops everywhere. He was a bicyclist right until he left, wasn't he?
Absolutely, yeah. And he lived only about a block from me in the Greens, and he would bike from the Greens. He'd go up McLean Boulevard and catch the bike path, and then go under I-90 and then take the bike path down to the library. Or when he felt a little bit better, he came the other way up Lawrence Avenue. I don't think he hiked up Lawrence Avenue Hill, or biked up Lawrence Avenue Hill, but he'd bike through town, and he enjoyed that his whole life.
He's doing that even in his late 80s.
Oh yes, absolutely, yeah. And he talked about how far he'd bike quite a long distance sometimes, and it's kind of flabbergasted me. He said, "Oh, I went 20 miles." And didn't make too big a thing out of it.
And you followed him walking?
Oh, sure, yeah. I'm trying to do it on foot.
That's right. Well, we appreciate all these great stories. Mike Elf, such a great institution for the city of Elgin, and your stories were wonderful. We appreciate a wonderful year you've had as mayor.
Thank you, and it's been a trying one, and we're still fighting our way through COVID. That's not over for us, but it's part of what we have to do as a city, and we try to work together and try to find the compromise that we want to make sure our businesses can stay active. We want to make sure primary concern of mine, and the city council is that our community stays safe. And that's the most important thing. And I guess my message to people, make sure that you stay healthy. Nothing means anything if you're not healthy.
Well said, Mayor.
And your family. And that stay well, stay healthy, and enjoy the new year.
And with that, we say Happy New Year to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that's going to be our segment with Mayor David Captain.
Hola a todos, este mes estamos aquí con Tania, que les vamos a platicar un poquito de lo que es el talento de cerámica, y aquí en su estudio que tenemos maravillas aquí que se pueden hacer, es que acompáñenos para que aprendan un poquito de lo que es el talento que tiene Tania, y de ahí después nos vamos a ir al ICC, donde Luis nos va a platicar un poquito de lo que hay, que están ofreciendo. Es que acompáñenos en sí en este mes, en todos los episodios, no se la pierdan. Hasta pronto, adiós. Feliz verano a todos, porque ya estamos en este tiempo que ya empezamos a sentir el calorcito y tenemos esperanzas. Ya sé que hemos estado medios ahí atrabancados un poquito con tanto que ha pasado, pero estoy en un lugar súper interesante y quiero platicarles un poquito porque conocí a una persona hermosísima con tanto talento. Tania, platícanos un poquito, porque la verdad hicimos unas cosas que ahorita les voy a enseñar. Quizás no les debo de enseñar, pero les voy a enseñar.
Que sepan qué creativa.
Qué desastre hice. Pero estoy aquí en un lugar súper padre y la verdad quería compartirles, más que nada quería presentarte a ti, porque tienes un talento hermoso, es una persona divina y todo el mundo tiene que conocerla. Platícanos un poquito de lo que tú haces, quién eres.
Sí, ok. Yo soy Tania, he estado aquí en Elgin ya por casi toda mi vida.
¿Y cómo no te hemos visto antes?
No sé, me escondo.
Pero ya la encontramos,
sí,
ya no está escondida.
Sí. Estaba en la escuela y desde la escuela, desde elementary en high school, creo que me enamoré del arte y nunca se me pudo quitar. Y finalmente hace unos años pude abrir mi estudio donde pude trabajar en cerámica, que fue una pasión que me encantó más que nada.
Y lo haces muy, muy bien, lo haces súper fácil y aquí todos haciéndonos un desastre.
No, sí, pero sí, ya se me pasó. Oh,
sí, no, está bien. Está muy bien, fíjate, y realmente lo que está bien es que en sí tiene muchos talentos, hay tantas cosas que tú haces.
Sí.
La cerámica también pinta unas cosas súper divinas.
Sí, también pinto. La primera cosa que hice primero es pintar. Fue lo que aprendí, porque como tenía también, fue por unas etapas bien difíciles.
Desafíos que enfrenta uno en la vida diario, ¿no?
Creo que el arte fue lo que me ayudó a escaparme de todo eso, y ya después cuando empecé y me fui a la high school es cuando me enseñaron la cerámica en las máquinas y me enamoré.
Sí. El arte, hablando del arte, ¿cómo te ayudó? Arte es una terapia y a veces no lo pensamos así. Y ahorita que hemos estado batallando tanto, ahorita con lo del COVID, estar encerrados, mucha depresión, muchas cosas.
Sí, sin embargo, cuando yo empecé arte, yo no sabía que lo estaba usando como terapia. Yo nada más empezaba a dibujar, empezaba a pintar y todos los problemas como que se me iban, y yo misma no sabía que lo que estaba haciendo era como lo que ahora dicen art therapy, que mucha gente está usando eso como un enfoque o como un escape para la gente que no puede
escaparse
expresarse. Si no te puedes expresar o si quieres escaparte del mundo que ahorita estamos pasando, es una buena distracción poder también terminar tus obras o lo que estés pintando y te sientes mucho más mejor.
Sí,
yo
también terminas.
Sí, yo cuando estaba pintando y después a veces tenía problemas o me molestaban las cosas, terminaba una pintura, terminaba algo en la máquina y como que ya no me afectaba tanto.
Te sentías más tranquila, más en paz.
Exactamente.
Y es que a veces nos frustramos y estamos pensando tanto en los problemas, pero ya cuando dices tú, ay, todo va a estar bien, tienes el tiempo y eso te ayuda, y el tiempo es lo que más nos ayuda, y tratar de ejercer un talento.
Como que te ayuda a parar el tiempo un poquito y nada más enfocarte en lo que estás haciendo en ese momento, que es lo más difícil, porque nosotros estamos siempre, ¿qué pasa después? ¿Qué va a pasar después? ¿Qué está haciendo ahora?
Andamos con la mente corriendo totalmente. Y estás bien tranquilo, y déjame decirte, ahorita yo lo hice y la verdad ya lo hizo sentir bien bonito, bien rápido. Mira, si hace así ya me quedo, ¿de dónde empiezo? Yo no tengo nada de talento como ya acaba de ver. Pero lo que es bonito es que todo el mundo puede hacer algo.
Todo lo pueden hacer, niños chiquitos, adultos, más ancianitos. Es algo que puedes hacer toda tu vida y a cualquier hora del tiempo de la vida. He tenido clases que la gente viene y dice, no sé qué hacer. Y nada más entran 20 minutos y de repente se les salen las ideas.
Nosotros empezamos, nosotras vinimos con unas amigas y estábamos de que, pues yo no sé qué hacer ni yo tampoco, y ahí le estamos esperando a ver qué nos diga y que nos haga los monos y de qué tenemos que hacer. pero de ahí sale la inspiración y nos ayuda
Sí,
a calmarnos, todos cargamos algo, ¿no? Y creo
Ajá.
que eso nos ayuda en sí para crecer ese talento, ver que
Exacto.
inspirarnos.
Mucha gente se le olvida que podemos crear cosas con las manos, se nos olvida que todo empezó hace años después, cuando no teníamos ciertos útiles, teníamos que hacer todo por la mano. Y la imaginación es algo que yo pienso que mucha gente se le olvidó usar. Se les olvida usar la imaginación. Mucha gente piensa, oh, yo quiero algo y lo quiero hecho ya. Yo he tenido gente viene y dice, oh, mira, yo quiero hacer eso, pero lo quiero hacer ya. No lo puedes hacer ya. Tienes que aprender a hacerlo, toma tiempo y creo que ya después de ahí como que it grounds you, te regresas a tierra.
Sí.
Yo pienso,
Te hace
¿no?
más humilde por ese lado, porque dices tú, no todo es como uno quiere.
Pero hacemos fiestas donde en el otro lado, si vienen en el Facebook, se llama Cerámica en Art Affair, y si van ahí van a poder ver los detalles, donde tenemos unas fiestas donde usted puede venir a este evento y ustedes pueden pintar, y ahí vamos a tener como bebidas, cositas para comer, y así pues ustedes pueden pintar y podemos hablar más de la cerámica y hablar más de las clases que podemos ofrecer.
Es algo que realmente es importante. Sí. Muchas gracias, Tania, porque hay tantas cosas aquí que en sí creo que yo me quedé encantada de estar aquí, y por eso le pedí que nos ayudara a promoverlo, porque creo que es algo que nos ayudaría a todos. Si se pueden comunicarse contigo, ¿cómo le hacen? ¿Dónde
se pueden comunicar conmigo en el Facebook, Cerámica en Art Affair, y también tengo un teléfono.
Y le ponemos el teléfono debajo.
Sí, puedo poner el teléfono abajo y ahí nos pueden contactar y nos pueden mandar mensajes de texto, porque lamentablemente así funciona.
Sí, no, está muy bien, y la verdad, muchas gracias, porque realmente tiene aquí un tesoro en Elgin que realmente tienen que asegurar que vengan. Vean, en sí pueden caminar hasta aquí porque estamos en el centro de
Bien
Elgin.
cerquita, sí.
Y pueden ver las diferentes artes que tiene aquí. Es que no se lo pierdan porque es algo súper interesante. Quería enseñarles el tesorito de Elgin ahorita. Gracias, hasta luego.
Gracias.
For more information, please visit cityofelgin.org. Para más información, por favor visite nuestra página cityofelgin.org. Don't forget, for city services, call 311. Call, click, connect. Para servicios de la ciudad, no olvide llamar 311, llamar, conectar y textear.